Hello everybody, this is Ray from the Auto Expose, and today I want to talk about the ugly, dirty truth about your vehicle's engine oil and its maintenance routine. If I were to ask you right now, how much oil do you have in your vehicle's engine, what would you do? I think we've kind of lost the art of going and actually checking the dipstick. What a lot of us rely on is going to be this information that we see right here, 40%. Okay, my vehicle tells me that I have 40% oil life left in it. What does that mean? Okay, does it tell me I have 40% level left, or is the deterioration of the oil down to 40% of its life's expected value? Wait 1 second while I show you one more thing. Check this fancy meter out right here. If I go over to my oil life, I can see that it shows me 40%. Guess what I'm going to do? Wow, I magically have 100% of oil life left. I didn't do anything. You can reset this meter. Now I have 100%. What's 100% of nothing? If you drain your engine oil out, there is no level sensor to tell you how much oil you have left in your vehicle. These gauges are not designed to tell you how much oil you have left in your engine. I had a customer one time who was very baffled when I told her that she should check her engine oil more periodically, because when I pulled her actual dipstick, there was nothing reading on her dipstick. And her comment was, I have 30% left. And I asked her, ma'am, politely, what is 30% of zero? See, the meter says 100%, but I just reset that. Now, what would it actually say if I went and actually checked it manually? We're gonna move to that right now. All right, so here we have the dipstick for the 2019 Honda Odyssey. We're gonna go ahead and pull it out. Immediately, we're gonna clear that. We don't wanna have any false information. I'm gonna wipe that so it's nice and clean. Okay, you don't see any residue on there at all. We're gonna go ahead and back and reinsert the dipstick. Make sure it goes all the way down to the bottom of the oil pan. This dipstick is designed to go all the way down to the very bottom of your engine. It has nothing to do with your meter. This dipstick is gonna actually physically touch the level of oil that's inside of this engine. Okay, now that I've actually inserted the dipstick all the way down into the engine, very sorry about that lighting there. You see my engine oil level? Can you see how you actually see some oil on that dipstick? Okay, that's what you're gonna look for. What you don't want is to pay mind to that meter, because what happens if I pulled out my dipstick and I pulled it all the way out and it looks like this and there's nothing on it? 0% of 100 is nothing. These meters are not designed for you to know your level. They're designed for a specific time frame that the manufacturer has programmed into the vehicles, and I'm not saying that it was nefarious. I firmly believe it was planned obsolescence, but I don't believe at all that it's useful for you just to keep paying attention to that meter. I think it's very helpful for you to manually check your oil. Now we've talked about what these meters represent, what they don't represent, and what you should do about it. I think you should continue to check your own oil on a regular routine basis. I mean, general rule of thumb, every time you go to a gas station, if you have a quick second, just pop your hood, check your oil. What would make engine oil disappear and not be on your dipstick? Because that's a question we have to answer, because there's going to be a lot of people wondering, well, okay, if my meter says 50%, why would I have less than that? Well, there are some vehicles that actually have the capacity to burn oil faster than others. For instance, this Honda minivan has a red line of 7,000 RPMs. Every auto manufacturer has its own specifications. There's some vehicles that rev a lot higher than others. Some vehicles are turbocharged, some are not. Let's say we're gonna deep fry some pork chops. Would we use avocado oil, vegetable oil, coconut oil? What kind of oil are you gonna use? Every oil has its own flash point. Now imagine every automotive engine is its own stovetop. It doesn't matter if you're Chef Ramsay, okay? You can be the best chef in the world, but if you're not cooking with a stovetop that is right for the flash point of the oil that you have, you're gonna end up starting to burn off some of that oil and you're gonna create smoke. So your engine using oil may be designed that way from the factory because it has looser tolerances, and maybe it's getting past the piston rings, or maybe the turbo's pushing it into the engine, which would not be an abnormal situation. But this is why it's so important for you to keep an eye on your oil actively. So why am I sharing this with you? Well, this is one of the very first obstacles that I had to overcome when I first started servicing vehicles in my own shop. I needed to gain people's trust in me. And sometimes the best way to do that is get them to see what you see. I had a lady come in and she didn't believe me that she didn't have any oil in her engine, and she thought that I was going to attempt to try to sell her more products. And what I really wanted her to sell her was an oil change, which she was already there for. It is much cheaper to keep your oil up to level than it is to try to pay for an engine replacement. I think as of right now, just stick with what you're already doing, but just add checking your oil periodically. if you have a sticker in your window and it has a preset mileage on it, 4 months, 3 months, 6 months, 5 months, whatever it is, be mindful of that. Be mindful of your meter, but also for your own safety and for your own sake, just check your oil regularly. Thank you so much. This is Ray, the Auto Expose. I hope this helped.